You ever roll up to your own land expecting peace and quiet and instead find your worst nightmare? That was me not long ago, coming back from 6 months out of state, thinking I'd finally have a week to breathe on the old family ridge, only to round the last bend and see 20 brand new rental cabins where my grandpa's A-frame should have been. Yeah, that happened. There was even a laser-cut sign out front Sampson Ridge Estates, an exclusive mountain community. That name, Sampson, hit me like a punch because the president of our valley's HOA, Karen Sampson, had a reputation for bulldozing through people and rules with the same cold efficiency. But what in God's name was she doing on my land? Now picture me, a construction guy, stubborn as a tree stump, driving a dented Ford up a road carved by my grandpa, and suddenly I'm blocked by a wannabe cop in a Halloween store uniform. Navy shirt, plastic badge, the whole show. "Private property, sir," he says. "You'll have to turn around." I nearly laughed, except it wasn't funny. Not when I looked past him and saw the cabins jammed together like a crooked monopoly, set shoddy footings, propane tanks stacked like dominoes, nothing but a ticking time bomb for the first unlucky renter. I tell the guy I own this mountain friend. All of it. He gets squeaky, tells me I need to leave. Now I've dealt with angry union guys and city inspectors with chips on their shoulders, so one overstuffed rent-a-cop wasn't going to shake me, especially when I could see his gun was just a civilian taser. "Your boss is Karen Sampson," I ask. He puffs up. "That's right." And I just grin and tell him, "You tell Karen Jack Mercer's here and she's the trespasser." He didn't know what to do with that. His hand drifted down, thinking he could scare me. I grabbed my phone and started dialing. "How about we get the sheriff up here and sort this out?" I said. Didn't even have to look up the number. Sheriff Reed's been a family friend for 20 years. The color drains from the security guy's face, Barry. His name tag said he starts sweating, looking over his shoulder like maybe Karen's going to come bail him out. But she doesn't. On the third ring, Reed answers, and I lay out the situation. 10 minutes later, his old Crown Vic rounds the bend, lights flashing. Reed's the kind of lawman that doesn't have to raise his voice. He just walks over, slow and steady, looks Barry in the eye, and asks for his credentials. Barry fumbles hands. Shaking pulls out a card from some online academy. Reed asks, "Are you licensed to work security here?" Barry stammers, "No, sir." Reed just sighs, takes the fake badge, pockets it, and looks at me like, "Here we go again." That's when Karen shows up in a golf cart, hair-perfect smile, sharp enough to slice bread. She marches up like she owns the world, says, "Sheriff, is there a problem?" Reed doesn't even flinch, just lays out the facts. I claim ownership. Barry was impersonating an officer, and she's got a lot of explaining to do. She produces a deed. Says it's all legal corporation owns the land now. But when I open that paper, my grandpa's name is signed in a way I've never seen in my life. Clean, steady, nothing like his real signature, which shook from a lifetime of hard work. And the sale, 2 days after Grandpa's funeral, to a shell corporation traced back to a P.O. box Karen controls. My blood runs ice cold. This is a forgery, I tell Reed. But he's stuck, says it's a civil matter, can't kick her off the property on my word. Karen's practically gloating. Tells the sheriff to remove my truck. Reed just turns and cuffs Barry for impersonating an officer, ignoring her entirely. As he hauls Barry to his cruiser, he leans in and says, "Get a good lawyer, Jack. A real shark. Don't do this yourself." Then he drives off, and I'm left staring down Karen, who smirks and rolls away in her golf cart. Now you'd think I'd call a lawyer next, but first I call my Uncle Dave. He's my grandpa's younger brother, a mechanic with a sixth sense for scams. I tell him everything right down to the fake cop and the fishy deed. He listens, then says, "Find the cracks, Jack. This is just a crooked foundation. Tear it apart." I slept on that, and the next morning I was in Frank Delgado's office. He's not a big-shot attorney, just a property law pit bull with a wrinkled tweed jacket and a nose for fraud. He listens, asks about the timing on the deed, then drags me to the county recorder's office. The clerk May pulls up the grant deed, says it was accessed just last week by Karen herself. Frank gets the original and the signature's all wrong. Then he points to the notary stamp Clarence Finney. May's face goes pale. He retired 2 years ago. His stamp and logbook were stolen before he left town. Suddenly it all fits: a stolen notary, a forged signature, a property sale filed days after my grandpa's death. Frank gets May to pull up other recent transfers with that stamp. Turns out there's a handful, all going to shell corporations, all linked to Karen. She's been running this game for a while. That's when things start rolling. Frank calls the DA Amar Patel, who's quiet, sharp, and doesn't miss a trick. Patel looks over the documents, listens to my account of the construction hazards, and says, "We'll move on public safety now. Fraud will take time, but unsafe dwellings, that's immediate." The next morning, a convoy of inspectors, the fire marshal, and health officials roll up the mountain. Karen's out on her porch, livid, but Patel hands her a warrant. In a few hours, they find exposed gas lines, rickety decks, no septic permits. Every cabin gets red tagged. Families are forced to evacuate, and Karen's money tap is shut off overnight. That night, a blizzard hits. I can't sleep, worrying about the people who might still be up there. Then my scanner crackles. There's a gas leak at cabin 7. A baby can't breathe. I drive up through a foot of snow, wrench in hand, and shut off the propane at the main tank after a frozen valve almost breaks my arm. I pull the family into my truck, save their kid, and sit up all night watching Karen's little empire turn dark in the storm. At dawn, Karen comes stomping through the snow, tries to bribe me with $500,000 to sign a quit-claim deed and make all this go away. What she doesn't know, I've got my phone recording in my coat pocket. She flat out admits the first deed was a business shortcut, offers cash in a briefcase, even says she'll backdate paperwork. I let her hang herself, then play back the recording, her words echoing in the frozen air. She's pale as death. That's the evidence that cracks everything open. The DA moves fast, ties Karen to forged deeds, bribes, unsafe building practices. The notary in Arizona has alibis for every supposed signature. The surveyor facing jail flips on Karen. My old friend Chris, the forensic accountant, traces the shell companies and cash payments. The whole house of cards comes tumbling down. When we get to court, Karen's all buttoned up and brittle. Judge Vance doesn't waste time. She grants our quiet title, hands my land back, and orders Karen to pay for demolition and full restitution. Then the DA lays out the charges: fraud, forgery, bribery, racketeering, reckless endangerment, the works. Karen gets cuffed right there, breaks down in tears. Her lawyer speechless. Empire gone mask off, just another inmate on her way to state prison. It's spring when I finally stand on the ridge, air sharp with pine and thaw. The last of her cabins are being taken down piece by piece, paid for with the same dirty money she tried to steal from my family. I get the new deed and a check that'll help restore this place. Other families Karen tried to rob get their land back too. Uncle Dave comes up, says Grandpa would be proud. I believe it. You know, I used to think the worst thing that could happen was losing land to a bully with money and a taste for shortcuts. But the truth is, the real loss would have been backing down. Sometimes the fight is ugly. Sometimes it's cold and you lose sleep and money and years you can't get back. But if you know you're right, if what you're fighting for is more than just dirt on a map, you dig in and don't let go. So let me ask you, how far would you go to protect your home, your family's legacy? Would you stand your ground, even if it means risking everything against someone with more power and money? That's what justice really comes down to, isn't it? Who's willing to outlast the storm? If you've ever stood up to a bully, fought a crooked system, or just had to claw back what was yours, I want to hear your story. Drop it in the comments. Let's talk about what real justice looks like and who really gets to call a place home.